Beyond charts and indicators lies the raw data of the market, the tape, okay? Learning to read it can give you a real-time edge over other traders. Ever wonder how some traders seem to anticipate moves and know what a stock is doing before it happens? Secret often lies in reading the tape, or the level 1. So let's dive in to this powerful skills, okay? What is tape read? At the end of the day, it's understanding the basics of the time and sales window, or again, level 1 or the tape. So what you're looking at with level 1 is all of the transactions, okay? Now this is different from level 2. If you're curious about level 2, we got a bunch of other videos on the channel, but today I want to talk about level 1. Level 2 shows you the market depth, how many buyers there are, how many sellers there are, what price they're looking to buy and sell at, and their size. But that is the auction, as we say. That's kind of like the idea. Remember in the movies, it doesn't, open outcry barely exists anymore, but when everybody's yelling buy, 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 and sell, sell, sell. That's the level 2. Now, what I want to talk about today is level 1. That is actually the executed transactions, the trades. Because remember, a stock can't trade unless there's a buyer and there's a seller. Now, I know that might sound basic, but a lot of people overlook that. They think stocks just kind of move along. But every print on the tape is someone that was willing to buy and someone that was willing to sell. So that's when the level 2, the bid and the ask, a buyer and a seller agree at a price and the transaction takes place. So what you can read from the level 1 is really a good idea of, if the buyers or the sellers are in control. So if you're looking at level 1, you're going to see a lot of information. You're going to see time, you're going to see price, and you're going to see size. Okay, so what that denotes is obviously the time that the transaction took place, what the price was consummated at, so where the buyer and the seller met, and then how many shares were transacted. Now, the other thing you'll see is the transaction is going to be in red, green, or white. What that means, a lot of people think it's like that's a buyer, that's a seller. No. Remember, if there's a trade, there's always a buyer, there's always a seller. Okay? What the colors denote is if the stock is on the tape in green, that means it upticked from the previous transaction. Now, if it's red, that means it downticked from the previous transaction. So let's say there's a trade at $1 and the next trade is at 101, that print will be in green. If there's a trade at $1 and the next trade is at 99 cents, that print will be in red because the stock downticked. So that's what we talk about when we say upticks and downticks. Now, the last one you'll see will be the white transaction, and that is simply unchanged. So if the stock trades at $1 and then the next transaction at $1, next transaction at $1, they'll all be in white because the stock price didn't change. Remember, the chart represents the last transaction. So when the stock's uptrending, then the stock is upticking. You'll see that on the tape. Stock's downtrending, you'll see that reflected on the tape as well. It's a great way to identify buying and selling pressures and recognizing where people are accumulating or distributing the stock. So what that means is, and there's a lot of different terms for this, but when you see a waterfall, an influx of green trades, just green, 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 that's very bullish. That shows you that the buyers are in control. And then the last thing you want to do is watch the size. Now, if there are a bunch of small transactions, you might want to be like, oh, I'm going to wait and see how this plays out. See a bunch of big transactions, block trades taking place. And in StocksToTrade, you'll see that reflected in gold, okay? If it's a gold print, then you know it's way bigger than the previous size. So you can see kind of those big trades as well. So now when you see that waterfall of green to the upside, look at the chart. But that's a good indication that, hey, buyers are stepping in, especially if it's around a key time of day, 9:45, 2 p.m., market open, market close, etc. Now, the other thing, on the flip side, if you've got that waterfall of red, as I call it, well, if you're in that trade, you might be like, whoa, time to move on. Sellers have took over here, like red print, red print, red print, signs getting bigger, bigger. Because at the end of the day, if we're cutting a loss, we want to be out before the stock really collapses. And you can see that reflected on the tape. And you're in it, let's say you're in it $1 and it's just trending lower, and then all of a sudden the tape gets really active with a lot of big sells. It can get you out before the true crack. That way you take a small loss instead of a big loss. The other thing, again, when it comes to spotting those large orders, you want to look for those transactions denoted in gold in your level 1 on StocksToTrade. Now, they'll still be red, green, or white, but they'll be highlighted in gold. So that's a great way to be looking for those big buyers and big sellers, because if they're big buyers, you want to join them on the long side. If they're big sellers, you want to cut that loss or join that trend to the downside and short it. So always be watching, and you'll see it around key levels, whether it be red to greens, high days, green to reds, dip and rips, VWAP holds, all these key levels, previous days highs, you'll see the block trades start filtering in there. And if you're watching it, you can definitely benefit from that. Now, at the end of the day, I want you to integrate tape reading with your chart analysis as well. You have to have a good in-depth knowledge of technical analysis, and then you meld them together. So they really work together, much like with level 2. A lot of these tools aren't be-all, end-alls. They work together. That's where it comes to having a trading system. So if you're looking at a key level, a support, a resistance level, a breakdown, a breakout, always be watching your level 1 to see how that stock reacts to that. Is there a bunch of buyers there? Is there a bunch of sellers? Is it a failed breakout? Because you might be looking at the chart and it's a breakout on all 3 time frames, but as soon as it hits that level, or hits that key level, your level 1 lights up with red trades. That's a good sign to be like, whoa, I think this is going to get stuffed, as they say, and going to be a failed breakout. Now you can combine them. That stock's hitting that key technical level, and all of a sudden the big buyers step in. Your level 1 lights up green. You can add some confidence to that trade. So use all of these together. And then the next thing to do is practice this, okay? Like track your data, watch the tape, take notes, okay? A lot of times traders think if they're not in the trade, there's no point in watching it. Like, I think that you should be a student of the game. Maybe you're not sure about the trade. Just don't trade it. Watch it. Learn from it. Take notes. Screen record, okay? It's another thing that sometimes I bring this up. People are kind of like, oh, I never thought of that. When you've got a real-time charting platform, whether it be StocksToTrade or something else, like you can actually screen record. You can do this on Windows, Mac, any computer, and you can actually play it back, and you can take notes and think about, okay, I think this stock is going to do that. What did it do? So take advantage of all these tools and be that student of the game to continue to hone your abilities of reading the tape and combining it with technical analysis. So last question I have for you before we wrap up is, have you watched the level 1? Sometimes it surprises me that people are like, what is it? I never even look at it. Now, if you're trading on a platform, some of these online platforms and online brokers, and there's a place for them. You might not even have level 1. This might be the first time you've ever heard of it. So let me know. Have you been reading the tape? And if you haven't, are you going to start after this video? Let me know in the comments. And last point I want to point out is, I know we went over a lot. Went over all these, what the numbers mean, all these, I used a lot of jargon, etc. There's only so much I can pack into a 10-minute YouTube video. If you really want to take it to the next level, check out the Daily Income Trader system. And if you don't want to screen record and do your own work, you can see me live every day using StocksToTrade, using level 1, using level 2, doing technical analysis. So if you've heard these terms and they still don't really kind of jive with you, hit that link below. Takes you to a free webinar where we show you everything that we do in the Daily Income Trader system every day. And if you like it, you can join me every single trading day in pre-market and midday and in the evening. So hit that link, check it out.